Okay, so here's what has happened. I was looking at the AMC movie times, and every once in a while I do that. Since I've had the A list, I've been looking, and there's every once in a while I see a foreign film, but I don't like dubs. I don't like dubbing at all. So there were a couple times where I was like, oh, maybe I could go see one, but at the times I could go, it was the dubbed one, and the one with the subtitles in the original language with subtitles wasn't at the right time. But today, I happened to look. I had no intention of going to the movies today, even. I happened to see that there was this movie called Suzume, that was Japanese anime movie, and the time today at noon was in Japanese with English subtitles. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go. I ended up, like I said, as I watch a movie, I think about what I'm going to give it on the IMDb. I just do that naturally. And I started to get confused at the end. I'm like, well, I'm thinking A, but I don't love it or anything. And then as it really got to the end, I just flipped, and I'm like, you know what? I might even have to give this a 9. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to explain myself with spoilers. This is going to be a real quick mini review. I took notes as usual, but I don't want to sit here and read my notes. I just want to go from memory. So, the story's different. I like different. I like odd. I am fine with weird. I don't mind that at all. Super spoilers. Because if you know nothing about the movie and you're considering seeing it, just don't watch this, because I'm going to say all the things. I have no problem with people being in love with inanimate objects, because did you see the movie? What was the movie, that crazy French one? Titani? I think it's Titane. Yeah, that was a piece of work. So, yeah, she wasn't really an inanimate object, but you get the idea. It was an inanimate object, put it that way. It just was also a person. Hang on. So, yeah, I like I always, like I said, I don't know how to pronounce things, which is terrible, but Studio Ghibli, however you say it, I think it's Ghibli. I love Princess Mononoke. I've never understood the Tubi thing, though, to this day, and, I don't know why I can't force myself to read books. I try to look things up here or there. What I'm interested in is an old person. I'm still interested in things. I just wish I had read. I've said this in many different referencing other movies, and when I'm talking about other movies, referencing the fact that I wish I had, read mythology and stuff like that as a kid, because I already knew I was interested in that stuff, but I didn't get my own books. But as an old person, the things on my mind, there's just all these other things on my mind, so I don't end up looking into that stuff. Or even if I do, if I watch a YouTube video on some stuff, it just leaves my brain, because there's more important stuff that replaces it, like real life crap. So but yeah, so I don't know if there's something I'm supposed to know. I don't know if I'm supposed to recognize these things. I don't know why all these movies have these Tubi things. Then I'm walking home, I'm saying, maybe it's karma, maybe it's something. It seems like it's always nefarious, these Tubi things that are attached, and I don't know, sometimes it seems to weigh people down. In this case, it was an actual, what was it? It was an actual thing that was causing these catastrophes over here. And I'm just like, well, they came up with an explanation for it. Like a metaphysical reason, or, mystical, or whatever you want to call it, reason for these things. And I kind of gleaned that it had to do with the tsunami, that big one. I think it was that one. It could have been another one that I didn't understand. Because I remember thinking the place at the time was Fukushima. I don't know, but I didn't hear that place this time. They talked about other places. But, or maybe I just don't know my geography, and that's the name of the county or whatever. I don't know. But, so yeah, it immediately starts off mystical. I looked at the guy, and she's like, Kide, and I'm like, yeah, no kidding, because I'm like, he looks like Donny Osmond. And I've said this for years. I know people get upset if they do a live action version, which I wouldn't be. I mean, for the Japanese anime stuff, I don't see the reason. Like when they did when Scarlett Johansson played was it Akira? Was it Ghost in the Shell? I don't even remember what movie it was. I try to watch it too. See, this is what I mean. When I try to put new things into old brain, it doesn't stick. You know, because there's old stuff in there and more important new stuff. So they get upset that they, you know, what they call it whitewashing, but like, I'm sorry, but any kind of Japanese cartoon type thing, or I've never thought that characters looked Japanese. I thought they looked like white people. So maybe I'm a horrible person or something, but I don't know. And I just look at these movies and I'm like, this guy looks like Donny Osmond. That's what I said to myself. But anyway, so I was like, oh, she's going to have a crush on him and stuff. Which, yeah. So everything goes the way I expected it to. It was a lot of, I hear other movies talk about family, and then they really don't have family in it. They just have the characters, relatives. My food's ready. And, but this was about issues, and it was, in the end, I ended up, I'm jumping around. I ended up, at the end, I'm sitting there, I end up sobbing. I'm like, I'm sobbing at this movie now. Okay, this little kid crying, and crying in such a way, it reminded me of, and it's not because they're all Asians, but it reminded me of, spoilers for Train to Busan, the little girl crying like crazy. You can't help crying, but at the end of that, and in this case, the little girl's crying a lot, and I was like, maybe inspired by, to just get the little girl to pull on your heartstrings, but in Train to Busan, they definitely earned it. I don't know if it was as earned here, but, because it was a lot of, there was so much weird. I don't know if you ever grounded into the idea that you were watching a movie to take seriously, because you couldn't really tell. So there's a lot going on, and it's, you're trying to figure out what the practical side of it. Like I said, it's mystical, right? Because he is a closer, and he's got to close these portals, and it allows something to happen. These portals allow these spirit thing, monster things, something, these 2B things that cause earthquakes. And he comes from a long line of closers who's supposed to close these doors before these 2B things can show up and cause an earthquake. So at first you're just trying to understand how it works, you know, and then she's getting involved in it, and it's like, should she do that? She's not related, you know, so you're just trying to understand what's going on, but there's all that, and then you understand what's going on, and then the aunt, and it's just all these things going on. But there's a lot. It's funny because the character development in movies like this is sometimes better than the character development in live action movies that win awards. Now, we just saw an Oscar winner I thought was okay. I'm sitting there going, this movie I'm watching, Suzume, is a better version of last year's Best Picture winner. I'm saying that because if somebody's watching this without having seen the movie, I want them to have to look that up. I don't want to spoil what movie that is. But, so it's that type of movie. It's not convoluted. You don't, obviously, because you're not seeing actors' faces, you're not getting maybe iffy performances that also won Oscars. Not the lead, the supporting, who won based on popularity. I'm sorry. Not based on performance, because that was one of her weaker performances in her career. But anyway, so yeah, so the movie's like this and everything, and then there's all this emotions and feelings, and who loves people and who didn't love people, and there was resentment, and there was all this stuff, and that's why I ended up crying like crazy at the end, because it was real emotional stuff. You know, they fit a lot of, I know a lot of things try to fit philosophical ideas and morality and crap like that, but even if it's, people can take it more seriously because they're looking at human beings, sometimes those movies don't know what they're doing. And I gotta stop again because this is getting, I don't know. So anyway, 9 out of 10, it was great. I don't want to say a lot more because my laptop's acting up on me. Yeah, like I said, to me, I don't know where I'm going to put this. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. My favorite movie of the year is still 65. again, that I see as a love story, not a romantic love story. Obviously, it's a grown adult and a young girl. I'm not saying that. But these love stories that about actual love that don't use love as a gimmick or use lost love as a gimmick or anything like that. It's actually about love. And I'm realizing that I was walking home. I was thinking about how the movie I complained about this year uses love as a gimmick, but there's no love in it. There's no actual emotion or actual feeling. And I was surprised about that because I didn't realize I liked the series that really didn't have that in there. It had the appearance of love being a motivation for countless murders, but in reality that there's no love story there, and there's no love for their friends, or well, they're supposed to be, but a narcissist doesn't do that. And I'm talking about a movie I'm not supposed to be talking about. But I was walking home and I was thinking, this is why you don't like Scorsese movies. You said this years ago about Scorsese movies. I used to say Scorsese movies weren't sexy, or Scorsese movies didn't have a lot, but they don't have a lot of emotion. So other people, they come from film school, oh, Scorsese's the greatest living director, and every time, not every time I see one of his movies, but the vast majority of the time I see one of his movies, I just don't come out of there loving it. Now, Hugo was different. But it still doesn't have that sort of raw emotion, real fire sign emotion. It's got like some other kind of sign emotion. It's not I don't know how else to put it. It's not extra feely. It's not in the feels. It's so you'd have to just come with your own feels and put it in there. You know what I'm saying? I can't explain. I don't want to go into that right now. I don't have the room on here. But yeah, so again, so I'm realizing, you know, maybe when I'm reviewing movies, I should take into account that I can be swayed by my feelings, or the feelings coming through the movie, or, you know, some other emotional thing or mystical thing that isn't really technically sound. Like, I don't care about technical things. I don't care about stuff like that. I mean, in this movie, the animation looked great and stuff like that. And I'm talking about another movie I'm watching about the lighting and stuff like that. I'm not saying that stuff is important. That stuff is important. But, like, say there's two musicals. Yeah, I'm going to like the choreography. But I'm not going to like, say, this musical's better than that one because of the choreography, or that musical's better than. I'm going to look at the performances. I'm going to look at the emotions, the songs. It's going to be more about, you know, the stuff that makes you feel. So if everybody's a horrible or just a basic dancer, but it's really complicated choreography, I'm not going to love that more than something that everybody's having a great time. They're all showstopper type people. They've got huge star quality, and, you know, it's really exciting and fabulous, and you know what I'm saying? So this movie surprised me. It's still a little bit off. It's a little bit back and forth, and like I said, they were really trying to compact everything. But unlike that Best Picture winner, this wasn't a mess. It just, you didn't understand, I didn't understand how much emotion was going to be involved, and how much, and one other thing, Falkor. I don't know these mystical creatures, but again, they had one of those things that looked like Falkor. It was some kind of dragony dog, flying dog looking thing that was also in the Ghibli movie. So like I'm saying, there could be all these mythical beasts that are common knowledge, because it's not just particular to a certain movie. So like I said, it had those Tubi things. It had this Falkor looking thing called a Satagine or something, and there was a normal Daijin, or you know what I mean? So I think everything that says gene is kind of genie, is kind of like a spirit, either good or bad, in all kinds of languages. So I'm not sure. I know of the term Asura. I was saying, okay, is that an Asura? I'm trying to put things together, but I'm not Japanese. I don't know anything. I just watched other movies, and I try to connect the dots sometimes. But so if I think on rewatches, I think I would like it a lot better. I'm not sure. But yeah, so there's probably things I would need to re-understand. But I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It probably should be an 8, but I was thinking 8, then I started sobbing. So I'm like, nope, gotta go with 10. Because 9, excuse me, a 9 out of 10, because it was just 2. It's not a 10, but it was just way more than I expected to think about this movie going in. Anyways, there you are.